Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to a new edition of the Inworld review. We did miss last week, unfortunately, due to myself being ill for once. Oh, got to have my turn at some point, haven't I? We missed the show, and we got sort of 4 weeks to catch up with. Sorry, 4 safaris to catch up with instead of
Ah,
two, and a couple of other things on on here. Right. Okay. This is the Inworld Review. It's a show where we look at people, places, and destinations and arts on the Hypergrid, or rather in OpenSim, the Hypergrid being the system that connects open simulator worlds together. Imagine something like Second Life, which is a sort of commercial walled garden. And imagine sort of having a few thousand of them and sticking them all together and having a communication travel system between them, which is what we got with the Hypergrid. So, if you don't know what Second Life is, well, they're 21 years old now. Where have you been? Were you even born when they were? Anyway, that's another story completely. Right, my name is Mal Burns, and next to me on my right-hand side, I've got what we might call the right-hand man. He's very fond of sitting, and when he's sitting comfortably, he's actually very adept at fiddling with knobs. Yes, indeed. It's James Atlloud.
hello, Mal. I all the setup we did, and I forgot to turn on my lips. I'll do that
Well,
while you're speaking. So, but glad to be here.
okay.
Yep.
Well, just don't get too lippity,
All
as they
right.
say in
I'll do my best. Right.
say in England. Very good. And on my left-hand side, my wonderful co-host, Tosha Tyran. Welcome, Tosha.
Hi Mel, thank you.
And you, and
Great
you
to
are
be
still
here.
there, and you're still there, so I'm happy. No more yo-yo microphones. Okay. So, right, well, we're here just by ourselves today to basically catching up on a few things. Back on most Wednesdays at noon Pacific, we all meet at the Safari Clubhouse, which is its own grid now, in fact, and we go on the Hypergrid Safari, which is a thing run by Thursday Ember, and we go to two destinations each week and meet the people behind them and enjoy them. Because I wasn't here last week, I've got a sort of two to report on from the week before, and then I've got two to report on from the midweek. This week, this Wednesday gone, was actually the last safaris in the current season, and I'm really terrible with dates, but I think this is the time of year where the gap between seasons is actually quite long. I remember the first one started early in January, and then there was a gap of about 4 weeks, and the second season started. And I think we actually have to wait till a third season, maybe in the early autumn. Who
September.
knows? September. Oh, well, what do
Hmm.
we do without Safari on Wednesdays? I think
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we have to start I don't know.
It's like there was an old song, no, isn't it?
Maybe we're
It's
starting in
gonna
World
be
Hop.
a long, lonely summer.
Long, long, lonely summer, right there.
Funny.
Maybe we should start an in-world hop or something. That's an annex to the program. Let's go hopping. Let's go to the hop. Let's go to. Oh, no, enough that. Oh, that's a good idea for a theme song, though, isn't it? Let's do the Hypergrid hop. No. Right. Okay. Be sensible, Mal. Right. So, yep, James and Tosha are here with me, and we're about to bring you what we do best, basically. We also have a nice screen here where we actually show you clips we've taken, share web pages and things like that. And if you're watching this live on YouTube, that's all taken care of for you with camera switching. If you're in the audience here, which you aren't, because there ain't anybody here except us. But if you were, you would actually see a separate screen. Right, okay, let's get going. I'm a week out of practice with this. I'm going to start with Thursday's blog post for Safari. So I'm just checking everything at my end here. Assume James is getting it fine. Looks like he will be. Okay. This was let's see, Thursday, May the 22nd. So this was the last but one Safari on May 21st. And the first stop we went to, I think it was the first anyway, was Volcano. And these are basically just the pictures that there's posted. Sort of role-play medieval sort of thing you can see there. I mean, I think the theme over the last 2 weeks has been castles. I think almost everywhere we went, got a castle somewhere. Yeah, this definitely has that sort of role-play flavor. And here we're seeing. I would say that all the recent safaris have been very well attended. You know, we've been not back to the old days of sort of only about 8 or 10 people. I think there's been 20, 30 people on a lot of these.
On the last safari was 35.
35, right.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's all good. I mean, I think people would have come to the last one just because it was the last and they wanted to say goodbye for the summer, you know, but there we go. Okay, just flashing through this. I forget who was that. I think the week before last you weren't with us, James, were you? If I'm right in thinking, whereas Tosha may have been.
Yeah, I was traveling.
Yeah. That's right. Oh yes, that's
I
right.
was
And you weren't back
traveling and
for
then a
this.
retreat for work. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
And
tried, and in 5-minute intervals I crashed, so I finally gave up.
right. So we're just getting a brief glimpse here of what it was like. It's always nice to look at the pictures anyway, as you can see, especially as it does tend to take rather nifty
Well, it's
pictures.
nice. It's new for me too.
Yeah, yeah. There we are. Yeah, it was a very picturesque place. In fact, all the safaris we've sort of been on in the last couple of weeks have been pretty attractive. I don't know about that one, but the skeletons are coming out of the closet here. All right. So very, very kind of moody kind of thing here. So I'm going to switch to some film I've got of the same region, basically. And it's only 3 minutes here, so it gives you an idea of what it was when you're moving around in this. And the camera obviously gives us a much more detailed overview. At this point, I had a failed bit of film, in fact, which was probably before this. We've just come out of a great big door in the rock there, and that was the end of a tunnel, which started, well, actually, yeah, I think I'm about to come back to where the tunnel started. We've been walking around here and went down there, and then we were looking at that thing and the little fairies, and then as we pan to the right, there we are. This had actually opened up in the wall, and if you went in there, it's actually a tunnel through the rock to where we came out at the first bit there. So panning out, getting an overview of the look of the region. It's sort of magical, magical mushrooms and hyper colorful foliage, shall we say, and big statues in the sky. So this region was called Volcano, Vulcano, I do believe. Oh no, sorry. It's the Blood Moon Grid, right? And the region is called Volcano Stirpe, Stirpe. But you'll get all the details of this if you go to hgsafari.blogspot.com/2025/05, and you can tell from the title then where you are. They're all dated. It's got the old Hobbit house kind of look to it here. Ooh, weird. The two of them together look like big eyes for a minute. As you can see from when you see all these grey blotches on the film, it simply means that the region took a while to as we call it, resolve itself. And if you've got time, you can hang around for an hour while every single detail all over the region sort of reses, and then you can film it. But when you're actually arriving there live on the safari with quite a few of you, you really have to take it as it comes. And it depends on the destination, the type of server it is, and also the number of avatars that are on the Safari that particular day. That whole combination of things decides, whether it's a bit laggy or whether it's fully visible or everything that of that ilk, so to speak. So I'm going to move. After that visit, we moved to Wild Thangs, basically. This is on the Wildwood Bayou grid, as you can see on there's this blog here. WYLDWOOD, and then Bayou grid. And that was the second stop for the one we just seen. So here go the pictures. And yeah, very easy to see here. It's a long time, I think, since I've been to the Wildwood Bayou grid. I mean, the moment I saw it listed, I thought, oh, back there, but I just haven't seemed to have heard of it for a while. So yeah, Hot Daddies, yep.
Yeah, we often go there after OSCC. That's often where a dance will be held for the final party.
Right, okay, Hot Daddies, yeah. Yeah, a lot of vehicles in this place. I did acquire a motorbike here. I haven't really used it since I crashed it. It's undamaged, but it's just, I don't trust myself to get on it, quite frankly. Again.
Well, what impresses me a little bit in this region is that as of late, we've been a lot in regions like you already mentioned, with castles and stuff like that. And this one is different. So
Yes.
it's nice to see a different region once in a while
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, you get on your rollerboard and you don't have to ride down the oh god, the thing castles have the metal gate. Never mind. Yes, this is very, very kind of different, more sort of fun stuff. Yeah. It was well, it was interesting. What isn't in these pictures, but I think you'll get when you see my film coming up, is the length of the roadways you can sort of drive around on your bike and stuff like that. So let's see what's happening there, shall we? There we go. So we're all moving on out there, as it were, taking our motor cars, our bikes, lots of bikes, as you can tell. And yeah, you just res them and ride them. There was another place we went to not so long ago where resing your bike wasn't enough. You then had to take it to the garage and fill it with petrol. That was a different place. This one was marginally easier from that point of view. And I really started coming around here. Oh no, this okay, it's only about 4 minutes here, so we're okay. Yeah, managed to be seeing what they catch up on. There was basically at one point one gets the bike up into the sort of mountains that have been carved there, and well, it's quite a challenge. I mean, for somebody who can't drive properly, I mean, it was fairly safe because if you ran off the road, you just sort of ended up turning upside down on a bank and falling back on the road. But well, okay. This is party beach area, as you could probably tell. It's doesn't really seem to have much to do with the vehicle racing, but much more scenic from my point of view on the camera. So again, neither of you guys were at this one, so this is our only record, so to speak.
Yeah, I usually try and go back, if I've missed a safari, and go via the links that are on the blog post. But I just had a terrible few weeks in May. It's been so busy.
Yeah, it's just finding time for all these things, isn't
Right.
it? Actually, I mean,
Right.
I'm often like that. That's why I make a habit of safari. I mean, because if I
Well,
just
Mel,
keep
Let's
I
face
keep
it, it's
looking.
all up to you.
Yeah, if I
It's
keep
all
the
up to
link.
you to explain.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, this is a lonely job. I wanted somebody else who knows what was going on. But there we go. It's this is I'm really waiting to. As you can see, the landscape looks a bit sort of plain and textured. Ah, here we are on the right. On the right. This I went up to on camera, so it's got the feel of this. But I actually took my bike up here
Uh-huh.
when I wasn't actually filming, and I don't know if you can see these rough bits of road and stuff. They're all linked together. Finding the way through up there in the mountain, and you ended up on tracks that went down, and then you got lost, and it was quite intriguing. I think a lot of people there didn't actually take full advantage of, because I know some people on Safari do actually like their bikes and their racing and stuff. But I didn't see anybody else up here, although there were plenty of arrows pointing the way. As that character there is giving you two options. This guy is giving you one option. So you basically follow the hints as you drive around.
It's lovely.
And
They're the characters from the book Where the Wild Things Are. That's really fun.
that's well, I didn't know that. Thank you, James.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, as in Wildwood Grid, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Where the Wild Things
I've got
Are.
that book somewhere. I just started, I haven't read it for years, so I just guess I didn't recognize it.
I feel like Spike Jones made it into a movie too. It was interesting.
Oh. Yeah, I'm sure there is a movie. I don't, can't remember much about it. I think is it an animated movie or
Both
no? Spike Jones wouldn't be.
live action with computer generated characters.
Ah, okay.
And good
watched
And it's
costumes.
quite like
Big
this
costumes.
region where the wild things are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, but that's the end of that film. Okay, so we'll go have a little interlude before we. Well, no, actually, I'm just going to. On Sunday, 25th of May, which would have been last week if we'd been here. Well, it was last
Mal,
week.
Mal, I'm getting audio from your video playback.
Oops. Oh, so am I. Interesting. Right, it started by itself. Okay, well, first of all, another post from Thursday here last Sunday, Romance and the Rose. This isn't about a safari stop. It's simply talking about a party on the Moonrose Grid, which is a home of Chrissy Courage and a partner Dark Wolf from the Adult Life Grid. And they got married in World. Isn't that kind of sweet? So Rob Legatory was the obviously the wedding photographer.
Mm-hmm.
But they did get a few sort of nice shots of the region too. That is some sky. There's a lot of storm clouds in the distance there, and well, actually, it's raining in the foreground there too. I created a rain cloud on this region actually yesterday, I think it was. It's only a little area there. I like these regions. We'll see one later, which have these sort of puddles of water, and you can see the water dripping in them. It's not like normal water. It's sort of like drips of raindrops.
Oh yeah, that looks really lovely.
Yeah, we'll see one on film in a minute. Anyway, so that was another post from SafariBlogspot.com. So a sort of a little break now. I didn't make it this last Friday, but the terror in the unquiet world, as I call it, anyway, has been going. Every so often, three of the artists from the original exhibition are now reprising their work. And on Friday, it would have been Art Blue, Giacomo Marconi, and Kisma Radling, as you can probably see at the bottom there. Now, I didn't make that, and I've got some old film that we actually took of that, which will probably reprise at some other reason. There will be another visit this Friday with Donna Gant, Pat Babby, Bruno Garboni, and there'll be a final one on June 13th with Gianna Spada, Zirana Oximoxi, and Enrico Bulciolu. Oh, yeah, I should have got suppose, to read them out. Not very good over the Italian names there, but there we go. So that is it. But if you remember on 2 weeks ago show, we had one of the places we stopped. It was near the very beginning, actually. Actually featured a film. Now I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember who made the film. Was it CapCat? You know the film I mean, don't you? The North Ragium. It's well, anyway, we tried to replay some of the film, but our sound system wasn't really up to it. So today I've got a little bit of a test here, and I'm actually about to play a 10-minute film that I think is one of the exhibits, in fact, there. And I'm hoping we got a lower third to put out while we're playing it, just to show you the region of Craft World where you can go to explore, you know, the whole exhibition. But for now, I'm just going to launch into the film and enjoy its sound and everything. If you click on the moving picture.
A few days ago, we
Oh, lovely autoplay there. Yeah, no, that was wonderful piece of film, sort of evocative and emotive, really. That whole event, I'm going to get it back. Where are we? This back up again now. It's well worth seeing, even if you can't make the Friday things. The actual exhibition is there, so even if you aren't attending one of the events, you can just wander in there. And given it's what I said, a group exhibition on wars, migration, and the environment. These three things are intrinsically linked these days.
Let, let
And
me let me
yeah.
say a few words to the film because I'm really moved by it. It really touched me because it was for me like, yeah, one gigantic reminder that the Mediterranean is a huge graveyard with thousands and thousands of migrants that are floating around somewhere, that are laying on the ground, that are eaten by what kind of fish ever, I don't know. And they committed no other crime than come from their respective places where they lived, from their homes. They left behind them family, friends, and well, their whole society, and to find a decent, a better, a safer place for them and their children to live. And it makes me so angry, and it hurts me so deeply. I and the film expressed exactly that. for me.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, you can't help but be moved by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the unique parts of the exhibition there. I mean, a lot of the other parts of it are
Yeah, but
pictures.
not all of it express it so well.
No, no,
Many
it's not.
of the exposures and the exhibits express it very well, but this one, together being a film with emotions and with the music that wow, that really cuts your heart into
Very
pieces, you know.
haunting, wasn't it? Yeah. And
Yeah,
of course, that was the collaboration between three of them as well. There was, I think I've
yeah.
got it right. It was Venus Adored, Camp Ragu, and Livio Corabase.
Mm.
I got, and actually
And
that was featured in the stop on May 9th when we're also looking at your build there as well, Tosha.
yeah,
So it's the
the
same day.
and Cupcut Ragu and whoever did that with her, I'm not sure now. Um, she's just really, there must be a great team, you know, to fix that so well, to make that so well.
Yeah,
I think nobody walked out there without being really touched, you know.
yeah, yeah.
So
'Cause, I mean, even here in Britain, it's sort of there's reports every day of more and more
mm,
people, especially at
mm,
this time of year, making the crossing from France into the UK. And admittedly, there aren't quite so many casualties because they get picked up if the boats fall over.
mhm.
But there's still been some, and it's still a very dangerous crossing. And
Oh, there are
you
so
hardly
many.
imagine people who are that
There are
desperate.
so many still dying because they come on such old boats and they're,
Yeah,
overloaded. And just a couple of weeks ago, one boat has just plainly tipped over on high sea, and I think about 800 people died, just
yeah.
disappeared, at once. So I think there were some boats near to save, but they picked up, I don't know, maybe five or maybe 10, I don't know, but the most of them, the vast majority just disappeared. And to me, that I live so close to the Mediterranean, I can walk down to the beach in 10 minutes practically. Well, walking up is a little longer. Then I stand by the beach and I look at the water and I say, what the fuck are we doing going to swim in this place? You wouldn't make a party on a graveyard either, you know?
Yes,
Well,
that's the
unless
yeah.
you were in Mexico and on certain days. But normally, this is I really think that I'm really very much in favor that the whole damn Mediterranean should be closed for boating and swimming and having fun. It should be considered a solemn graveyard and where you behave like that. I know that is impossible that it comes through, but I think it would be the right thing to do, really. Well, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I think,
Now,
No, it's all
no,
right.
I agree.
you.
I agree. I think we dreamed there. We couldn't close down. But I don't know. It's difficult to imagine, especially underwater. Graveyards. When you think of like the huge battles that have taken place, like in the First World War in France,
Yeah, but
and
yeah,
they go
okay,
for
but
broke. Nature's taken
but
them back, and I don't know.
yeah, but only only last year in 2024, more than 2,500 people have perished in the
Uh,
Mediterranean in one year. And this year already, I don't know how many, but there must be more than 1,000 already. And and like I said, it's not that there was a war on the Mediterranean, and it's not that the people went into the war, but they're just looking for a life,
yeah,
you know. And what they find is dead, and that is so terrible. And
yeah,
I imagine I go close to the water and I imagine, there are so many corpses in there swimming around, and I practically
maybe
don't
one.
dare go into the water.
Maybe one day there'll be a memorial,
Mm,
on the seabed, that people can.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, Yeah, it's a big sea, but it's a lot of people.
Mm.
Okay, well, we'll move
I
on.
had a
But
question.
as I
Okay.
said, it's
Did,
very,
did,
very worthy of turning out to Craft Grid's the Ukbar region there on Craft Grid, and seeing that exhibition in your own time, even if you don't make the Friday meets.
did
The
either of you
Fridays are
attend that? Or did either of you attend that event
oh yeah, I've been
in
going every
person?
week except this last Friday I didn't make it, but I was at Tosha's and I was at Sergi's Elsewhere
Yeah,
and
yeah. This particular film, where would the audience be while this was being performed?
sorry, I don't know. No, the film is being shown at the exhibit.
Oh, okay. So an audience doesn't
Are you with
attend
me? Yeah,
that as a
so
performance. Okay.
it's sort of available on you
Yep.
to watch it on the Prem. Yeah,
Yep.
I
Okay.
don't know. I doubt. I know it's a bit like the HIE things, isn't it? I mean, it looks like a great performance, but whether the three of them did it live or whether it was collaborated and edited and put together in bits, I don't know. It did have
They
a
they did they did
consistency.
put together they did put it together in bits because when there was the general opening last year, I
Yeah,
think it was of the whole exhibit, the the artists, especially the ones here from the Cap Ragu and I think Kapkat Ragu and I think also Venus
Venus.
Adored, they talked about it and they said it was a collaboration of three people living in different countries and in completely different circumstances, but they've gotten together to make this one movie, and they've never met personally, And I thought that's a huge accomplish for the open sim, and it's a really a great show of what open sim can be and can show,
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially this movie.
yeah. Absolutely. I'm sure we might return to this again another time. I'm so glad we got our proper sound working for that as well, so people have been able to really enjoy it
It's cool.
in its full glory, which you can't really do on a sort of Prim in an exhibition. Not quite so well anyway. Right, well, moving on. I've got another little surprise this week. It seems like barely a month since the last one, but again, it is monthly. We've got a new issue of blah blah blah. This one now is called Summer 25 and it's issue 9. And if I can remember which keystroke I need to hit to get this thing going. Oh yeah, there we are. Yeah, so that's the cover. You can pick this up here as alternate metaverse grid, and I'm sure we'll see the address of that coming up as we look through it. Yeah. Favorite cowboy aboard, Dave King. That's the musician, by the way. They've got a little frontispiece they've got there, so I'll flick through it basically. This is a lot of the features here about AMV, although when they were on the show a few weeks ago, she did say, it's open, it's a Hypergrid magazine as such, so they do cover or will cover
Can I
things.
ask you a question before you go on
Yeah.
about the Cowboys? Um, I've read recently an article that the Cowboys in the beginning of the well, I don't know when they went all towards the west, the original Cowboys were practically all black, and the white ones were called cowhands, and the Cowboys were the poor people, the poor blacks and slaves that have gone west together with the cowhands, and Hollywood has turned that all around.
Sure. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be
And
surprised, but I'm not familiar with that. I haven't heard that.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and and the well, I follow a few pages that are talking about that subject, and the they kind of erased the blacks of the
From
I
our
don't know
history.
of the conqueror of the
Right.
West, let's
Right.
say.
That is the way
I
of
think
things.
it's the same with American Indians too. I mean,
Oh yeah,
they
they erased them from the
but
face of the earth
yeah,
practically.
sort of write them out of history. And I mean, there have actually been a couple of big dramas on American, long form, subscription channels recently that sort of I don't know they're intended to rectify it, but seemingly they did because they featured a lot of black actors in those roles. And it was just as, and sort of, there was a certain odyssey. When I was a child, you'd see that iconic cowboy horse and John Wayne, and that was about it. Oh, and Tonto, of course. But
Yeah. Oh yeah, and
the
also among the cowboys, the black cowboys were a lot of cowgirls also. There were a lot of women that
yeah,
were doing exactly the same work as the cowboys were. I
yeah.
thought that was really amazing when I read about that,
It's something about history, and I mean, it's a bit the same in the UK, for example. I mean, I think only now, everybody thinks that multiracial Britain began with God, the name of the ship that came over after World War II and so. But we're multiracial from the way back from the days of empire,
Um,
and also, African tribal leaders or so will send their sons to places like Eton to be educated, and then go back to lead their countries. And it's to see them in the streets. Nobody would blink if it was, people would probably have been judged more by their dress code than the color of
mm,
their skin, in fact. But you start reading history that's been rewritten, and they always say it gets rewritten by the victors, but even without a war, there's so
mm,
much history around, and that's really doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, sort of
mm.
not everything in Black America was sugar cane.
Oh,
Oh, so, it was
you're not.
huge other histories in there too. But
Mm,
the Judeo-Christian sort of right wing and all that sort of stuff, they didn't want history to recognize dominant women, and they certainly didn't want history to recognize dominant
yeah, yeah,
men of a different color.
yeah.
And they did their best to suppress it. And in fact, religion's been at that, over in Europe and everywhere for a couple of thousand years, just selectively reporting, uh, you know, um, variations on the myth. Sorry, I've got something binging here. Don't need to, because that's yeah. So yeah. It's interesting stuff. But yeah, I mean, we certainly think of, you know, I don't remember as a kid, you watch TV, it was cowboys and Indians. And the Indians were always bad. There was no concept of them being goodies. And the cowboys were always great, superheroes, as they would be now. And yeah, I mean, they'd had the Indians in it, but I don't think they had any black cowboys, you know. You know,
Well, strangely enough, when I was a kid, I got a book from, um, I don't know, my grandmother. I don't think so because she really was a right winger, but like one of her sisters or something like that. Yeah, it was some old woman, and that was called something like there was a popular movie, or was a popular movie that was called Little Big Man. Little Big Man. Does that say something to you?
Yeah, with Dustin Hoffman was the actor. Yep.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I read the book. But that, strangely enough, that when I was a kid, really, I just started reading. I remember, um, it really, there was an Indian, a Native American, who was the absolute hero through the whole story, and it talked about all the misery, and that in German, and it must have been written in the 40s or the 50s maybe, because when I got it, it was already quite an old book, and it really surprised me. I just wanted to say that.
uh, oh, fascinating stuff. Because sometimes it's
Yeah.
just like we're on the verge of a long conversation. There would be another show
Yeah.
here, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Okay, we'll go back to
Oh,
Cinco de Mayo.
we are coming up in this actually. I'm just going to flip through these get the idea. This was Cataplexia birthday on AMV, so they lit up for her. And they also had their fiesta with Dave King, who's the clown in the cowboy, the cowboy musician on the front page there. And Mayhem with Dragon Lady. Ted Jr. This is basically a roundup of all the people they had performing, including Sophie Submarine. And of course, Twisted was on the show with us. And I don't know, plodding through here. Phoenix Docket, right? The Night Lives On. Yeah. I always like these magazines, which, of course, when they move to the photographs and give you an idea of regions to visit and things. This is the Phoenix Docs. Region or other. Basically, the reason I'm looking so impatient here is they've done an article on us because, of course, Tristy was on the show 3 or 4 weeks ago. And Dave King, the musician experience there again, interview with him. And
It is this.
there he is
this
again, the cowboy.
blah 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 magazine is really something else. It's a great work and so
Yeah.
much, really so much work also. And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
woman that
because
makes
by and
it.
large she puts it all together herself, and it's very professionally
Yeah,
done. The use of
yeah,
cover and layout and everything else like that.
yeah. Mm.
It looks like something you pulled off the newsstand. So here we are. Right. Well, you might recognise these pictures. This was the week where
Oh yeah,
James turned up as a dinky, appropriately.
yeah.
There they are sitting on the thing. Right, Twisted and Timo's stars featured on the Inworld review show, Spotlight on blah blah and Fun Size Dinky's World Resort. So she's given a little summary there, mentioning that they were on our show, which is nice to see. Just to mention, of course. And Mother's Day, they had an event for that. Car races. I mean, it makes it really does. The whole magazine that is supposed to be professionally produced makes the alternative metaverse grid itself, look full of, so many different things. As of course, many other grids are, but they don't all publish magazines that really show off their attributes quite so much. I do hope that more people contribute to this magazine to, show off, similar grids at least, to make it feel more, we got Safari, we got this show, we got various things, but the more things that are what I might call hypergrid wide that show off the whole thing, the merrier of my thoughts. Oh, they really do like Dave King, don't they? He's got an award too, so he's on the awards section. I don't know. The races. It's probably Sansanara now again. We went to this, didn't we, Safari? I believe. I forget which week it was. Anyway, this is an article on Samsara region, a realm reborn, and cultural celebration. I don't know what that one is, but anyway, as you can see, you can see several languages here, but you can read everything in here is in English as well, even though they clear some that isn't. Griffin Academy. And it's a big magazine. It's 120 pages. So, but I'm flipping through, and we're only halfway there. So, click. The line Journey through Creativity. This is an exhibit. This is Dave King again, not as a musician, but as a builder.
Oh yeah, they talked about it on the show about this exhibition, a line where people were asked to just line up their creations, and and it was being just an endless kind of thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very interesting idea to line it all up like that.
There's actually a real world thing being built. It's probably in Saudi Arabia, certainly one of the Arab states, which is to say they're building they're building a
Oh
city.
yeah, that is true.
And it's long. It's not like
Yeah.
a square or a organically spreading out city. It's designed as a big long line.
Mm.
You know, it's like
It's called the
Very true. I
line.
remember that.
Yeah, the line in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I guess there's a connection there, as it were. So, oops, I've lost my keystrokes here. There we are. Dragon Lady, Shinobu. Well, yeah, different. Yeah, so lots to read here, by the way, and you can pick it up in Alternative Metaverse's landing spot, but also the Twisted. Well, we gave it at the time. Easy enough to find anyway, and you can look them up on. But they've got a page on Facebook too, which
Yeah, and
is
I've put the URL to the web version on screen.
right. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like I've got loads of comic strips which have nothing to do with this program on another machine, and I've been putting them up, you know, in this sort of manner, you know. But you realise you can make things look good, but you can't actually read them or appreciate them at the size you would get on the screen. Well, you know, a video screen. You know, you actually needs to be a big size, high res monitor to actually read the things properly. So lots of it, of course, because they're looking basically at all the different things on the line here. So I should probably do a film show of this, actually.
Oh no, I get it. I remember that that somebody, one of the dinkies, were talking about in the line
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
show, but I didn't really caught up. And it's supposed to be finished in 2045, and it's going to be, or is planned to be 170 kilometers long, and there will be no cars and no what do you call it?
Most vehicles, basically. Yeah.
Monoxide or whatever that's called, and no emissions and nothing. You know, I don't know how they move, but you know,
Yeah,
it
it's all
sounds really interesting.
the mind boggles in a way that it's actually a line, and it would be it'd be incredibly long. And I think it's great they won't have motor cars, but you know, unlike a city where you've got motor routes around it and things like that, this thing is going to be a long line. I mean, there must presumably will be a way of getting from one end to the other. Maybe it is something like the Hyperloop things.
Well, maybe
If
there
they
will
still
be
work.
something like a train, or maybe there would be like a carrier. You know, you just stand on it and it takes you to the next
Yeah,
place. You know, and it just goes on, and you just step on and off.
yeah,
So
like an
could be.
like a flat escalator, trying to
Yeah,
see. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, sure. There's engines on that somewhere. There's Hyperloops. Actually, I probably shouldn't talk about Hyperloops. I think that was another Musk project, wasn't it?
And that's funny that well, funny and really cool that the virtual world can do all that already. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Don't need to dig up your desert.
Mm.
We got the all it takes is a few brims, or rather a lot of brims actually. But I mean, yeah. Okay, the freebie malls. Okay, these are not on the line. These are somewhere else. I gather. Okay, I'm getting near the end now. Bear Island Hideaway. That's from the logo there. I presume that is a nudist hideaway or something, or a nudist fun fair, or Bear Island, or maybe it's actually nothing to do with that. They just like the logo. Who knows? Beach Vibes, Senate Luxury. Yeah, it seems to be fully dressed from here on in. Open store owner, event organised. Oh, soft pretzels. Of course, there's the cooking pages at the back there. And there we are. So, yeah, blah, 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 magazine link. I don't think, good grief, that does actually work. Okay, it's a PDF, but PDF support. All right, never mind. Yeah, so, you can contact Sophie Supermarine via Facebook or Discord or email, though it doesn't give the email address there. I guess it's blah, 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 No, forget. Yeah, you have to pick it up first before you can click on the links to do the emailing. But anyway, we'll come back to that. Or do let us know if you need to know more, and we'll put you in touch with Sophie there. Right. Okay. So back to the mainstream of this week, so to speak. We did too. Of course, it was the end of Safari this week, and we did have our obligatory 2 stops for the end. This is Will Coleman in Kandorian. Will Coleman, I think it's welcoming. I think it's a script that whispers to you and greets you and says, welcome aboard. Anyway, this is Thursday's blog. More information if you read the blog properly. For some reason, I can't scroll the blog anymore, but at least I can show you all the pictures. And here we go again.
I really love the titling of Thursday. You know, yes, we
Yes.
can be rainy, and
Always funny.
it's so
Yes, we
funny.
can.
You know?
Right? Yes, we can. Yeah, she comes up with some really good. I mean, she does come up with a few suspect ones now and again. But generally speaking, she's a daft hand at titling her
Some
blog.
suspect once in a while. It's also
Yeah.
good, no?
Yes, exactly. I kind of like that. It's added attraction to the headline. So Castles again, of course. This is our host, whose name I forget, but my camera is locked on her much of the time, following her
But it
around.
was a really interesting region.
Yeah, because both you and James were on these 2, so we've definitely got something to talk about together here. So I flick through. Even got a welcome for the safari. Very kind of medieval role play, I suppose. Oops, what's happening there? Oh, yes, it's working.
And these little towns that they have there everywhere with the beams and the walls and everything, they seem so real. You know, you really have the feeling you step into or either a very small German town, or you step into a medieval town. You know,
It's funny that style of architecture, if that's the word, of course, lasted for centuries all over Europe in particular. You know, so it's sort of there's something a bit timeless, although undoubtedly medieval, about those kind of buildings. To be honest, you know, you can still. I love it. You know, occasionally you go in. I don't travel very much these days, but wander around in England. You come to a village and you go into the village pub, and you know it's the same thing. It's still got all the rafters and the bars, and even sometimes the frontage. There's near the law courts in London here. There's a Lincoln's Inn Field, I think it's called. There's literally a front. Where there aren't any shops, but the whole frontage is just an old frontage. It's still used, you know, inside. It's probably super modern, but, you know, you look at it and you think, this is a building out of time, you know. And you can't quite put the time on it. You know, it's not like, oh, that's Victorian or that's Roman, you know. Oops. God, I keep pressing the wrong buttons. Here we are, out on the road, quite literally. Yeah. It's great fun being in camera, following the entourage of avatars traipsing down roads and things.
There was a lot of walking on this visit.
Yes,
and my legs hurt until still
somebody
now.
getting real close up with the wolf there, or is it a dog? I don't know. It's a bit like the one in the studio here, come to think of it. Before we put a muzzle on it. Yeah.
It was a lot of walking, but it really was worth every step. You gotta admit that, James. It's really very, very pretty, very nice.
And I do like when we walk and we keep together and we can hear what the builder's describing. Sometimes when on safari, when we go on our own, I feel like, well, I've missed something that the builder might have been telling us.
Yeah, that's true. But then I think I can read it in.
Right.
But I like to go in the group, but sometimes I also like to just wander off on my own. You know, during the safari.
there's a little secret here. You may have noticed it over time, actually, but quite often when I'm filming on safaris, I mean, I suffer the same thing because I'm out of chat range, once I start filming and whatever. But if there's one person who often seems to wander off on her own that catches my eye and gets locked into my camera, it's guess who?
Hmm.
Tosha.
Let's follow Tosha for a while. Yeah, it's yeah, and sometimes it's a bit claustrophobic being with the whole crowd, and
Well, if I was Thirsa, I would tell you now, Mel, you can do Rainian. Oh, that was difficult.
hang on a second. This is do.
You
Is this
can
not a
do
clever word?
Rainian. You can, if you say let's follow Tasha for a while. I said, well, you can do Rainian.
Do Iranian,
Hmm.
as in do.
Hmm.
I'm lost. I'm stuck. I'm
Don't
I
worry.
don't understand what you're saying. James, rescue me.
I'm not
Remember
understanding
the title
either.
of this. You remember the title of this
Oh
this
can
we,
do Iranian. Yeah, can
we
do.
can do Rainian.
Oh,
And so I say
okay.
you can do Rainian.
I see.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I'm with.
Mhm.
I'm still with you. Yes.
You're a little stuck.
Yeah.
Yep.
I get there eventually. Oh dear. Here we go.
As Shakespeare says, I lost the gist.
Yes.
Something like that. Oh dear. And there's another one of the hosts there, the pirate man. Contrast the pirate costume and next to the guy with his hat on. His name I always
George.
keep forgetting. George. That's it, George. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, interesting recall of that on Sosa's blog there, hgsafari.blogspot.com. This one, of course, being earlier this week. A nice closing scene there. So let's follow that up with some of the film. And these visits, we did actually get quite a little bit more film, which is quite good. So you can gauge a little bit more. What you get from a long walk and lots of slides is a memory of the long walk, whereas from the film, especially from the air, you can gauge the size actually of the region to a certain extent. Exactly why I'm starting in a library, I don't know, but a lot of grey books. I told you about the grey stuff earlier, didn't I? So, right, basically our camera is just launching, finding the safari folks and zooming in on them as a starting point.
I saw Tosha.
Oh yeah, I see Tosha quite a lot here too.
And that more than 10 minutes after the safari started.
Oh yeah, you were definitely there. As was James. And Pedlove was with us, of course. I should maybe
Petlov was also there.
invited Pedlove along to the chat this week, but we'll see. Yes. All of our crew, so to speak, were there. There he is, James in his flashy suit.
Yep. And Crocs. Don't forget the Crocs.
Yeah, I know. I always just laugh at the rustic nature of the safari. Trudging around over hills and vales and whatever, and here you're all very dressed up, and then when you come on the show and you're good dressed up, it's okay, fine. It is what you get, a sort of strange juxtaposition of choice, really. And again, these lovely sort of rafters and.
So, was this a repeat visit? I feel like we had been here before, and they had talked about some more of the role play aspects, but is that not the case?
Well, it's funny.
Yeah.
You IM'd me while we were there, Tosha, and you said, "Is it just you, or have we been here before?" And
Especially
I
the
couldn't quite make
stable,
up
the
my mind.
stable
There's something
areas.
very familiar
Yeah.
about it, but
Yep.
there again, a lot of these things, like this hill here with the path at the side, I've got one of them. It's a mesh landform, and
Okay.
so
Okay.
it certainly looks familiar, but whether it's familiar by way of being a bit generic or whether it's we actually have been there before, it's hard to know.
Hmm.
Well, the internet can
Well,
tell us.
certainly, not, I didn't sort of immediately think, God,
I had the feeling also. I
yeah.
don't know if it was on this region or on the next where we were. On one of the two regions, I really had that feeling. Oof,
I
I've
think it was
been here.
I think it was this region. I think we're about halfway through it when
Uh,
you messaged me
yeah.
and said, this is looks so familiar. And I did sort of agree, but I didn't know whether it was familiar as an actual place or familiar as a sort of place, if you see what I mean. Because almost something I always notice, and I do, when I should say that, you go to shops where everything should be free and open sim and stuff like that. And I go around collecting all sorts of stuff over the place. And I
Mm.
do get a bit pissed off if I go to somewhere like this and I see like a cute little, cottage or something that I've seen before endless times and think, oh, I keep meaning to get one of them. And then finding I can't copy it. Right. No, that's fair enough. Some people, just you can't copy anything on their regions. But it's when I know that the region is made up of already copied stuff that I think, well, that's
Okay.
cheating, share and share
Mm.
alike, if you got it for free, do share it for free. But no, people lock it down and make it imply that it's all their
Well,
own.
I think a lot of the things are also without thinking about it, because the normal way when you build something in Firestorm, it is not, it's not for sale or not to take
Uh,
away. So then if people don't think about it to make it, you have to go and make it for free, you
yeah,
know.
true. Yeah.
So then you maybe don't think about it. And the other thing is, I think that people think also when it is for free that others could come and just push the things around, which is not true.
No,
You
no,
know, but I
it's
think a lot of people think that they can do that. But if you build it and you want everything to be taken, you have to each single item you have to make to be free
you
and
have
to
to
be
make it
taken
copyable.
also, copyable, yeah.
Yeah.
So, or else there is a basic configuration of Firestorm where you can do everything that you res in in OpenSim. You can make right away to be copyable. But I think not many people do that, because then everything is copyable. Maybe even the one thing that you really don't want to be copyable. So it's difficult.
Yeah,
It's
true.
difficult.
I've got to
I
think of
know
it.
I normally do all, well, like when I make big buildings, I don't make them copyable because they're useless for
Yeah.
somebody, because you cannot take them as one. But the single items I always make copyable, but I always forget some also.
Yeah, of
I
course.
noticed that myself.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
this
that
is
actually
great.
came to
Yeah.
me. I think that came to me while I was filming, but just because you DM me as well, because sort of you go to enough places on the hypergrid, and somewhere you'll see somewhere that you think, I've been here before. This is the same. I remember
Yeah,
this, but actually, what you're remembering is lots of
okay.
individual things that somebody's actually put together completely differently from the time you saw them before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sort of, oh yes, I remember that house, and I remember that pond, and I remember that shape of
Mm,
mountain, and I remember, and in fact, you're
mm,
remembering lots of things from lots of different places that are suddenly and being put
mm.
somebody in one place. So it's all the fun of it, really.
Yeah, and
It's
just
like
for confirmation, Safari was there in December of 2024.
Oh no.
so
Yep,
that's so
But
actually that's
we were right, James.
that's right. That's right.
so Safari went back only a few months later. Okay, that is a well. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
Okay, so. Okay, so we have been here before.
did you film the castle, Mal?
Um, I'm trying to figure out where we are here. I think we're
Okay.
getting towards. Oh no, here's what I was talking about earlier. I
Mm.
love the water where you got the rain on the
Oh
water
yeah.
here.
Yes.
Yep.
Beautiful, yeah.
I'm trying to make a pond in on this region that does that, but I got a bit of the rain, and I can't. I'm sure I got the puddles somewhere. I don't know. This looks good, you know. I keep thinking that the Hobbit home there has got an eye. You know, two of them together, they look like two eyes with some kind of creature sticking
Yeah.
out the ground.
Yeah.
Optical illusion. Yeah, maybe we just went to a different region. I'll have to check that because presumably I also
If you have
filmed.
the drops here on the boardwalk too.
Yes, but I think they're like
Really
a
cool.
messy sort of thing, and they're not necessarily. Those things aren't always easy to control. Like they've probably been put on the water below, but for some reason
No, but if the rain hits the ground, it also
yeah
makes things
yeah
like that.
yeah
Yeah. I just thought it was very, very good looking.
yeah. Nothing like following the host when he's obscuring the view with his umbrella. I love the way everybody picks up an umbrella in a.
Where did everybody get the umbrellas from?
I think they were given out where we landed or something like that. Or
Oh, okay.
Well, and I
supposed to put
remember the
on
umbrellas are from
mobile.
the second stop, not the first stop.
All right, but the funniest thing is,
Because
you
that's
know,
Danger. That's Danger who's holding the umbrella, but he was not
Ah.
the guide for the first stop at Kandoranian.
and it's what was actually so odd though is, I mean, if it had been a Japanese sim, maybe the umbrellas, but you know, the idea that people in medieval times had umbrellas just doesn't.
Why not?
Well, I don't think they'd invented them, and they probably had something they put over there. But the idea of this, you know, everybody's wearing this, holding the same umbrella and walking in a line
Yeah,
in
that's true.
medieval sim, and I thought that doesn't quite. It's like one of those time travel TV series where they all end up, you know, in the medieval time and wearing their normal costumes, you know.
Mal, this film you're showing is from Dangazi.
I'm sorry?
The film you're showing now is from Dangazi, the second stop of the safari.
Ooh. Then, okay, yeah. I mean, all I've got is the code. Yeah, it's the one. Yeah, the first one must have been. What's it? Yeah. Good point. And I've got two more small clips that follow this. Okay, I must have taken 3 clips at Dangazi then.
I really like Dangazi, but when we're ready to talk about that, it was wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, Tosha and the cow. We went there later. This is a great example of, you know, I saw Tosha I thought
I was so exasperated to find some animal that I could ride on, and the horses I could not. I thought maybe the cow. But no.
maybe the cow will work. Yeah. It's funny, you know, I just saw you wandering there. I thought, oh, I'll camera in on Tosha and see where she's exploring, you know, like I was saying at the beginning there. But of course, I was filming from somewhere or other in the air, and the actual people from the safari were somewhere else. So I ended up coming back to them. And actually, so the safari group later in the film actually ends up in the same place. But you know. Again, it's slightly upsetting that, you know, things like all those books and things did not, you know, were not happy about resing. I'd obviously set the region to res ahead of me, but sometimes they just don't happen. Maybe we should all start filming our Inworld films in grayscale to match the grey objects. Sorry, I'm called for there. Yeah, I was going to say, we're all...
One of the things about this place that I really liked was the audio. And so for both Dangazi and for Ozzy, his co-builder, they had audio playing that was appropriate. So there were thunderstorms playing during this whole tour.
That was so great.
That was wonderful.
Yeah.
That was very odd because it was all playing on a media
The media
Modern
channel. Yeah, the
Inworld.
media channel, right?
Yeah, and I didn't hear a lot of it. I only occurred to me later that something seemed to be happening on the media channel because I was listening for sounds because I'm used to you put sounds in the location where you want them, whereas the media on it was obviously playing sound over the region. So
And that's because you can't put YouTube URL into the parcel audio, the music channel. So they were putting a YouTube URL in the media channel, which is allowed.
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, of course. But I mean, you can presumably you've got an audio copy you could put on the stream.
So,
It's
If
just
you've got a
it's not
server, right?
yeah. I mean, no, it doesn't really matter. But to me, you know, sound in world is something I move towards and move away from and experience as part of the environment. If it is static, in other words, it's just like a music feed played throughout the region. It doesn't really matter whether it's on the sound or the media channel, but it can't react to your position. It's not position sensitive. So it just wouldn't occur to me to play sounds by going to a media channel. It's like I never play when I'm on a size. I
it's
never
so
actually,
beautiful.
I never
Yeah.
play the stream unless it's a concert where I'm meant to be listening to the stream, you know.
Mm.
But
Well,
where it sounds, I like because you know I like hearing the waves and the wind and the birds chirping and you know all that kind of stuff. Um,
I I want to play Wise Guy again,
yeah,
talking about the umbrellas. The first
yeah.
mentioning of umbrellas was in the year 800,
Oh,
800, where well, somebody sent to somebody and one um, umbrella saying that he wanted to save him from the rain, and the umbrella as a sun umbrella was already known in China
uh,
4,000 years ago.
the sunshades, yes, yeah.
Yes, and they were a long time a sign of of shahs and pharaohs and kings and all that kind of stuff, and they were all made of bamboo and oiled paper. So,
And of course, the king never held it. He had a slave to do that.
oh yeah, well, of course,
Of course.
things don't
So
go.
yeah, you have a convoy where the king and 500 people with umbrellas were part of his troop. Yeah, love it. But I remember when years ago when Maria Korolev was part of the show, we were, you know, but wasn't less than world stuff actually, and
I
yeah, I'd say something, and after about 2 minutes, Maria would come on and give a whole background on something because she was obviously so quick on Google while we were talking. No sooner had I asked a question than Maria would have the answer.
and
It's great. It's great, you know. And
anyways, that what I wanted to say is that it's quite all right for the time
yeah.
of the town to have umbrellas. What they did not have then was foldable umbrellas.
Oh. Now this is something, right? This is the end, right? Or I need to explain this. When we went, we came to. It was about 2 minutes to a time out anyway, and there was a border crossing, and
Oh yeah,
basically, I don't know what was really happening, but in camera, I couldn't get across anywhere. I couldn't even move the camera, but I was just photographing the scene. And as you can see, more and more people get to the border crossing, and they join the. There's one, another one comes to
yeah,
join
but
the
you can
crowd.
see that they're sort of walking on one place also.
Yeah, they're
And
walking they're walking on a spot, you know, trying to cross
yeah,
the region. I don't know what. I don't
yeah,
know if
and there's
anybody ever got it.
no surrounding anymore.
No, I think
I
it was
remember
supposed to
that.
be a teleport to a different region, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you end up all like this?
Nope. I crossed over. That was where we got to the steampunk train. Did you get to
So
the
it just
steampunk
didn't work.
train? Yeah.
Right. Well, it didn't work for me. So there I was, sort of filming away, and you know, I couldn't get out of it. Eventually, even when I teleported home to, you know, Craft here, it wouldn't teleport me. I was completely stuck in limbo, except for this picture on screen where everybody
I
on
did.
safari. There's Tosha. The hair
Yes,
joins the
yeah,
crowd.
and also
And
stuck there. And as it was about 2 minutes
Oh.
before the safari ended, I got
yeah,
stuck. I could not teleport to anybody, to
Oh.
any
yeah.
place either. And then I said, and goodbye. I just left.
Well,
I
I
said
just
thank
kept.
you to everybody, but I don't know if anybody could read. And
No, I
I
don't think
was,
they're good. I mean, I actually that's one of the reasons I kept filming here. I thought, well, at least I got a record of the entire thing
mm,
because it looks so funny. And then I kept on filming. I decided, right, let's see what it looks like from the front. So
that
there's
really
now
is
we
funny.
got another one. This
Oh
is
yeah,
from the other.
yeah,
This from the other side.
that was
This is how
really
they look.
funny.
You know, as some people started running. James there's, and there's one of the Thursdays, and then me. And then yeah, there's Tosha, and I mean it's this is a great
That is
record of
really
something. I
funny.
don't know what, but this is not to be repeated. You know, the lost tribe of Safari on the road to nowhere. There,
Yeah.
that's I think that would make a good song, wouldn't it? Road to nowhere. Or
Oh,
has that,
that's why it
has
was so
that
blue,
been
because it's
has
the
that been done
water.
before?
Mm.
Yeah, I could
Looks
just
so
about move the
different.
camera, although it didn't know what it was doing. But look at this, it's just hilarious.
It's so funny because I didn't experience that at all. I crossed into the new region, went up to
Yeah,
the
well, that's the
train.
reason I thought I would film it, just to prove the point. If people don't believe me, that's
Right.
what
Is that
happened.
not you there that's walking there
Well, that's what the server
behind you
last
or
sent to
something?
Mal's viewer, but not what my
Yeah,
experience was.
Oh, oh,
I
oh,
went
oh,
into the new region without any difficulty.
oh,
Hello
oh.
and welcome to App.
Okay.
yeah.
Now we're
Oh,
getting
so I
music.
just had to. I had to have that kind of
But
stuff
but
there.
anyways, I had the same difficulties, exactly
Okay.
the same.
Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't just me. It was again. But what really annoyed me was I couldn't teleport home. I actually had to quit the viewer completely and then re-log in on Craft, you know, to get back to normal. But and I know there was some film on that region, so I think it jumped from the first region to the second region there quickly. I think one of my clips was ended up faulty, and it said it had been recovered, and then I tried playing it when I was setting up today, and it was not working. But that happens now and again. You know, something froze while the camera was processing the film. Right. Okay. So that was okay. Well, of course, the only thing I didn't do there is finally HG's via blogspot.com. This is Dang Azzy. That's the one you've just been watching.
That's where
I
you were
should have been
stuck.
showing,
Right. Right.
yeah, I should have been showing you this first if I was doing what I usually do.
Hmm.
But this basically is there's pictures of that region, and this is the thing I really liked actually. It reminded me a bit of the original Planet of the Apes movie where Charlton Heston is going for a long beach and eventually
Oh.
sees the what's it, the Statue of Liberty sunk in the ocean or something. But this is like a long
It
sand,
reminds me of some.
and eventually we came to this, and I
It
jumped the gun a
reminds me
bit.
of some German islands and also of Denmark
Uh,
coastline. It looks just like that too. What
yeah,
is
I
that?
jumped
That
the
was
gun a
that
bit when I saw this.
strange train, no? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
That
I
thing
jumped the
that
gun
looked
by
like that.
going into this tunnel, and of course, actually, I realised a while later that the whole safari was I'd actually just got in there first. But I thought the beach was just going on, and when I saw that sort of funny-looking thing, I thought, oh, it's just this sort of scary statue thing or something. I didn't realise it was actually a doorway, and then, of course, when I did, I was away. And there's a long load of steps here that we had to climb.
Yes. Yes.
And I actually did have this on film, so this is obviously the clip that got damaged. My version of it, that is. But yeah, eventually you get up these long
But
stairs. You come out
is
into the
just a
open.
very, very beautiful place, really.
Yeah.
And very surprising also. You go from one place to the other, and it's absolutely different.
Well, it's a trick I did it once. It's a nice trick, that thing of sort of coming up from underground, because the beach isn't underground; it's just ground level, and you've got the real level higher up. But the idea that you find the cave and come in and go up the steps, and then that's your entrance to the real land, as it were. I like that. tattoo.
That's where we got the umbrellas, Tasha, on that bridge.
Ah,
Oh,
okay.
right.
Okay.
I think
I was so busy there when I don't know what, but
Right.
you know,
And that
you
bridge
found
is
somewhere,
the
like me, you found somewhere to go to when
yeah.
everybody else was getting there, probably.
And
It's
that
quite a
bridge is
nice.
between Danger's side and Ozzy's side. So
yeah.
you can go to the south, you go to Danger's build, and you go to the north, you go to Ozzy's build.
Okay.
And that's the
Bridge is.
region. Did you catch the region name? Dangazi? Dangazi is
Oh, as
danger
in danger.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
danger in
yeah, yeah,
Ozzy.
right.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't. Dame Jazzy win is Thursday's title. She could
Yep.
have come up with something better. I wonder if she could have come up with something better than that for this one. Win. Oh, well, I don't
Oh,
know.
that's right.
That's
It's a win-win
that,
situation.
that is a nice gift. It's just got a lot going on in it. It could be a bit of film there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, this was also a beautiful walk down there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Figured out why that car is sitting in a crop of foliage.
It's anachronistic, but it's good too. It's a
A lot of stuff
civilization
floating
gone.
up in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I never really liked in virtual worlds is things in the sky. It used to really annoy. Well, I could understand why people did it in Second Life, where land was at a premium. You can go up, but you can't spread out at greater cost. But seeing things floating in the sky, too low down. I think things, if they're built specially to look like that, it's fair enough. But when they're just hanging out,
That
and
may
there's the
be
feature.
related
Now,
to
this,
the
this, I guess, is where you lot got to when my camera me and Tosha got stuck.
yes, yep, that's the steampunk train. And those buildings in the sky might be related to the region that didn't res for you because they were on ground for me.
Oh,
But
oh,
James,
this is Thursday. This is Thursday, of course.
Right, but if you go
that is
okay, yep. Yeah, because there was ground under
that
that
is
for
really.
me.
Oh yeah, that is really really funny because I keep forgetting. For me, the virtual world is so real that I automatically think what I see, everybody sees. And the colors
Yeah,
I see, everybody's got to see, That
Mm-hmm.
is not even true in real life, but much less in virtual life. But
All of our
for me, it
little
is like that always.
all of our computers
it
have
is.
little copies of the world, and they're not exactly the same copies.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
know that
designed.
when I
It's
put my head to
designed for.
work, but
Yeah. It's it does sort of occasionally put pay to the shared environment that what sort of promotes so much. I'm always promoting the fact that in OpenSim and indeed Second Life, of course, it's the only place where you can have people from all over the world, all in one place, and actually sharing everything. In other words, talking in voice, watching the same thing, but somebody can res a prim, somebody next door can texture it, somebody else can have permissions to reshape it. You can do all this stuff in kind of real time and shared environment. But then again, if you're changing a prim from a cube to a sphere, you assume that everybody else in the group is seeing what you're doing. But given this, there will be occasions when it's not shared quite right, and it's I get this on Safari. I mean, it's autumn, isn't it? I think, she always thinks Forest. Sorry, she always thinks I'm wearing some kind of turban because apparently for months and months my hat hasn't res for her. She's probably got a faulty copy of my hat in her cache.
yeah, probably.
And if she cleaned her cache, she'd probably just get a new collar because nobody else sees me with a turban on.
Well, she might get you without hat, so you, not without the thing that you wear on your hat, but without hat altogether,
Yeah, well, quite. Yeah, it's
chopped off. And so you just better leave her the way she wants to see you.
yeah. No. I just I just teasingly remind her now. I'm wearing a hat, not a turban. She says, "Oh, she figured it out." I think actually in the end, I told her to
Yeah, I think she did.
refresh textures on my hat or whatever.
And
Right.
you
So
know,
we got to the end. Oh, sorry.
the conception of that everybody sees different things, and every viewer shows a little bit different, or every monitor shows a little bit different the things. That reminds me also when I was a kid.
Hello. And
Shut up. When I was a kid with my brother, we played this game all the time. We said, well, look at, you think the grass is green. You think so because you've always seen it green, or you've always named it green. This thing, what you see, has the name green. But maybe you see the grass completely different than I do. Maybe you see the grass pink. If I had your eyes, I would say, oh, that is pink grass, you know. But everybody calls
I'm
grass green because it's the word for it. And you can
I'm
go
slightly,
hours and hours on that.
I don't know about these days, but I'm slightly colorblind. Always have been in green and brown shades. Some of them mix. You know, I used to get confused by billiard balls and stuff. Um, and you know, depending on your eyes, you do see different colors. You end up seeing something that you're taught is green, and you
Yeah,
recognize it as green. And sometimes
yeah.
you can't see the green for the brown or whatever because
Well,
optically
that's it.
you have a
And
problem. But
just
um, if you lived on an alien planet, there was an artist called Richard Corbin ages ago who used to experiment with color on film separations. I mean, he actually took things that'd be very real if you saw the photographs in
mm,
on Earth, but he put them through color filters in such a way that they represented how a landscape on Earth would look if it was on an alien planet that say had two suns and a different chemical
yeah,
composition.
mm,
And, you know, any creature living in that environment, you know, wouldn't be breathing oxygen. They'd probably be breathing ammonia or something. They would have they'd be completely different. And if they had eyes at all, they would certainly see things that we saw, but they'd see them as something totally different.
yeah, yeah,
You know, we are, you know, slaves to our environment, basically,
yeah.
and our
Well,
own.
that is think about only about people that have this, I don't know, we call it defect or something, that they cannot distinguish green from red.
Yeah, that's what I
You know,
say.
they must see
I-
altogether something totally different, you know. And I
well,
had a friend that got some glasses for reading, but he was already, I don't know, in his middle ages or something like. He
yeah,
must have
yeah,
been 50, and then he got these glasses for reading, and then he looked up and he said, "Oh my God, I see colors for the first time in my life." He always saw everything in different tones of gray, but he would always say the grass is green. You know? But with
yeah.
these glasses, he saw things really in colors for the first time. You know, that is really
Uh, That's
so many
amazing.
different things. Yeah.
Because I tend to wear different glasses for different things now, but I mean, I don't think I can ever say they've improved my color. They probably help with contrast and a distance, but you know, that's amazing. Um, but you know, we live with, I mean, as I say, green and browns, you know, I once was working, actually, it's quite a big corporation. I was working with somebody else once in my life, and they sent me to all their health checks, you know, and they, you know, they detected I was colorblind, you know, slightly, and green and brown. I'd always known this, but never made a thing of it.
Yeah.
And the guy I worked for, you know, because it's all graphics based stuff, the guy I worked with, they eventually, not much later, they laid me off, I think, because of my incapacity to see color or something. But the boss was saying sort of he'd been admiring my choice of colors. And what I realized was that because I did not see certain colors or couldn't see them clearly, I would
Mm,
only ever make choices that gave me the right contrast for me. But that with
mm,
contrast was still good for other people. It just missed out things that weren't good for me.
mm,
So, you know, I maybe would never use a certain shade of green or a certain shade of brown because I
mm,
couldn't tell the difference. You know, I knew that some things I looked at were definitely green and some things I looked at were definitely brown. But there were other
mm,
weird things around and said, well, it's pretty, but I can't quite tell whether that's green or brown, so I'll just leave it. You know? So I
mm.
don't know. It's
I've
you
been
know,
reading in an art book some years ago. I don't know. It must have been about, or probably was about Vincent van Gogh. and they said that he was able to distinguish, I don't know, hundreds of shades of green. That
Right.
is completely unimaginable, hundreds or thousands even. I mean, it was a number with many zeros.
Well, yeah. Think of our computer monitor these days. Long are the days when we had 8-bit, 16-bit monitors with 256 colors. The layers now allow for millions of different shades, and
Yeah.
there literally are. Whether any individual human eye can see all those 25 million or whatever it is, and it'd be even more if you had an even higher density monitor. It's anybody who's disabled with color can probably do, so long as you can see the basic colors that are enough to distinguish what you're doing, you're probably okay. I mean, I certainly don't miss. The thing I miss most, by the way, is I've got a broken monitor, which I don't use for anything these days, but for some reason, pillar box red on that monitor shows up as a kind of magenta. Because I think one of the tubes, or say it's not the cathode ray tube, it's something in the pixel thing is wrong. So it means that every picture has got a slight, lack of pillar box red, even in whatever the mix is. And I never noticed it for a while until I came to sort of try and manipulate 3D objects with the arrows that go up and down, left and right. On one of the axes, I could hardly see because it wasn't showing up as red to me. It was showing up as me as a sort of, it was just falling into the background. Yeah. So I don't know. We make do with what we got, don't we?
I had that with one old monitor of mine too, that showed started in the middle, a little bit, like an orange tone, and I got so in the beginning I thought, what the hell is this? I got so used to it that I did not see it anymore. This orange, and it got spread over the whole monitor practically. And one day my brother came and he said, "What are you doing? It's all orange." Looking at you, I just really didn't realize it anymore.
All the time you thought you were wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, no, I'm not even that. I was just so used to this color in my head, interpreted it as the real thing, And I needed somebody else. And then I got a new monitor, and I said, "Oh my gosh, what did I miss?" So it's like that, It's like that. Our head does strange things too. You know that every image you see with your eyes is being turned around. So actually, you see everything upside down, and then your brain turns it around again and makes you see it the right way. And they have done tests with people. They have given them glasses, that turned everything around, and they saw everything, everything on upside down. And then their brain started little by little getting used to it, and their brain turned the things around again. And after a few days, they saw, with these glasses always put on, they saw things straight again. And then when these glasses were taken away from them, it was again everything upside down what they saw, until their brain got used to change it again. So it's really amazing things that we have there in our heads,
Yeah.
not only the mouth and the nose.
There's a podcast. Well, somebody she blogs, every couple of days, and she always sits there talking, and she was told about this sometime ago, and she has never managed to click the mirror on her webcam so that what the audience sees is not a mirror image. And it really annoys me because she picks up books that she's just bought or found and talks about them and holds them up to the screen. And all the letters will be backward and everything. Because I know with some webcams, what you see as being right, the viewer sees as being wrong. So you have to actually adjust your mirror to be like camera rather than mirror, basically, so the audience is right. Or it's just a simple switch, But some people go on forever and ever, and they don't realize that they're broadcasting a mirror image of themselves.
Yeah.
And
Talking
they
about
probably
mirrors.
can't tell from the face, but when you're holding up books and things to the camera, it's bloody obvious that that's back to front.
Talking about mirrors, I'm playing with making mirrors right now.
Yes.
You know,
In
so that you can really, you stand in front of them and you can see yourself. You see
yeah.
the shadow, you see yourself moving. It's really fascinating.
I must. I'd like to see those or get one actually. You do those in Blender, and then it's an import. Yeah.
No, you can do them.
No, 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 no,
It's
no,
the
no.
PBR,
In
the PBR
yes,
technology.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
Right.
if you have PBR in your viewer, then you can see also those mirrors. When I finish some, I will put some up here. Let's see.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I want
That.
to
I
make
mean,
content
and
for
see.
friends.
I mean, it sounds like a gimmick, but actually, it's like when you or somebody told me to turn on the reflections on the water and just to make it enhanced. It does actually
Mm.
do it. I mean, it still doesn't look real, but it does add to the emotion. So the old mirror here or there, it's like sounds and stuff. It's just little things that you wouldn't
Yeah.
want to overdo, but can just
I think that's a fantastic thing when they really work. You know, if you imagine you go through some place or you go along some houses and they have like mirrors in the windows and you walk along there and like in the real life you might see your reflection in that window. I think that's fantastic.
A
yeah.
lot of dance clubs in Second Life have adopted mirrored floors, and they work really well.
Okay.
There
I
was an
bet,
old
yeah.
trick to build an upside down version underneath a
Oh
transparent
yeah.
floor to make it
Oh
look
yeah.
like a mirror.
A few
I do
places.
I do
Yeah,
that all the time, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
There used to be a place called the Mad Hattery where you could buy 1,001 different top hats, in Second Life. And I used to like my top hats in those days. And their central area, was just like that. It was a vast circular floor, but it was like being on glass and seeing a reflection of
Yeah.
the whole thing.
But what
But
you
it
cannot
was it wasn't a genuine reflection. It
But
was a
in this
fake.
way, what you cannot reflect
Yeah.
all the avatars walking on it.
Correct.
You know, they
Right.
are like vampires looking into the mirror. They don't see themselves.
They
But
don't see
with
themselves.
these
Right.
with these mirrors, you can actually see your avatar moving and everything, and also other avatars. When you have somebody there, when I was working on it, I had somebody there, and was standing next to me, and I could see both
Yep.
in the mirror.
It's very fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, the other one didn't have PVR and couldn't
Oh,
see anything.
Yeah, it's like the old thing. It's like
But
when light skies and stuff like that. There's
yeah,
always that period where one person's got the
yeah,
browser without and the other
yeah.
person's got the browser with. And
But I took some
not
pictures
quite.
and handed them over to him, and he said, "Oh, I can't believe it! I must be a vampire." Oh, it's really
Okay, well,
that's
so
really
while we're
great
on
fun.
while we're on technical stuff, I'm going to close with a few things here. I've got a screen up here which we showed last week. This is the download page for something called the Aperture Viewer. Now, basically, the guy behind this, William Weaver, it'd be nice if I could try and get him on for a chat, actually. This is a viewer that is good for both OpenSim and Second Life. In fact, they make a point of telling us that. Although it's actually a kind of fork of Firestorm. And if
Uh-huh.
you use Firestorm, you probably know that, you've got things like photo tools, little palettes and windows that they give you facilities that are built into the Linden Labs software or the OpenSim software, but Firestorm's arranged it so you've got a little palette, all of its own to give you more
Uh,
control.
uh,
And so what the Aperture Viewer is doing, hence the name Aperture, is actually it's a viewer that's been specifically built for filming and taking photography, which is
uh-huh.
obviously appeals to me. And unlike what's it called, Alchemy, the one that's Second Life only, a picturesque viewer, this is will work here in OpenSim too. And they've got a Discord channel, and there's a lot of chat and stuff going on there. But in fact, what wasn't clear to me at the very beginning is that literally this is a fork of Firestorm, using
Mhm.
what Firestorm have been doing, but taking it a step
Do
further.
you
So
do you use it together with Firestorm or you use it alone?
no, it's you download you use it alone, but
Mm.
it's like you can download Chromium from for in the web, but you can download Vivaldi, which is Chromium 2 with a different shell. it's basically instead of being a completely different viewer from anything that's gone before, it's a fork of Firestorm, which basically introduces a load
Understand.
of new features into Firestorm that Firestorm has not decided. I mean, Firestorm is for everybody, whereas Aperture is designed for filmers and photographers. In other words, it's going to enhance the experience for people who do that kind of thing,
Mm.
and it will work on OpenSim too.
But it's really mostly made for photographers and filmers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
Now, if you go to github.com, Aperture Viewer, basically it's a simple thing. It's like if it's for Windows, for example, you just download it. It's got a setup file, just like Firestorm has. So it's well worth looking at. Now, they're also publishing quite a lot on YouTube.
Hello, and welcome to Aperture Viewer. I'm William Weaver, and if you are passionate about awesome visual imagery in Second Life and OpenSim, if you are a new user or someone who's been around for a while, then we think our viewer might be something you're interested in. Our core
okay.
belief is that nothing is not possible, both in your artistic vision and in our ability to bring you an awesome experience within Second Life. Today, I want to introduce you to the heart of Aperture Viewer, the Aperture Viewer Photo Tools Suite, or APS. You can think of it as your central command station for almost every visual aspect of your virtual world. You can open APS anytime by pressing Alt-P. I already have it open, but I'll open and close it to show you what happens when you hit that button. And you can also open it through the toolbar menu at the bottom using this little icon that will toggle it on and off. You can see that it's organized into these tabs, each dedicated to a different area of visual control. I'll just cycle through them real quick, making it easier to find the settings you need without having to hunt through endless menus. So let's take a quick tour. So first up is the Environment tab. This is where you...
Right, I think you get the gist there. This is 20 minutes. So basically, I thought just play the introduction but I just seeing that ballot, I think, right, I've got to download it and I got to I'm going to run it so that I can see what I can do with that ballot, And I did mention this a couple of weeks back because there's another there's something called the Benthic viewer in the works too, which Ubit and various others who we know from the dev channels are working on.
It's called what?
It's called the Benthic. I don't know that I haven't got a download for it, although they do actually have a Discord channel where they talk. It's Benthic, and don't even ask me what.
Wait. Ben.
Benthic.
I see it. Yeah.
So if you put Benthic viewer in a search or something, you should get. I don't think there is a download, but you'll get to the Discord channel or whatever. So that's on the way too. But I'm particularly excited by this William Weaver one actually, and there is a download for the Mac too, even though that page I showed you is just the Windows version. But also while we're at it, and you just see this at the beginning, somebody has also done a rather helpful thing using a very obvious AI generated person. But this is actually just telling you how to export Collada and GLTF from Blender, but in particular anyway, into a form that can be used by Second Life and indeed OpenSim too. So I'm going to close the show with this one, and I'll run the whole thing here because it is only about 3 minutes, so we might as well watch the lot of it, including a very strange AI woman. Sorry?
Very cool. I will check that out and look at them.
A few days ago, we've got news about upcoming improvements for GLTF imports into Second Life. In particular, Linden Lab asks creators to provide test data to help improve their rig importer. Specifically, they want the same model exported once as Collada and once as GLTF, so they can verify that everything works as expected. We've taken action and created a small add-on that does exactly that, It
now it comes
exports to
to
both Collada and GLTF, simultaneously and without any hassle. The resulting pair of files can then be sent directly to Linden Lab. And here's a quick demo. Let's assume we've created a model for the task. First, select the armature and all mesh objects you want to export. In this case, I'll select the head, the upper body, and the lower body of the character. Then go to File Export Avatar Exporter. In the Export Options panel, select both Collada and GLTF. Next, in the file selector, choose your target folder and enter a base file name. Don't worry about extensions. The exporter will add them automatically. Now click the Avatar Exporter button and mischief accomplished. You'll find both files side by side sharing the same file name with the correct extensions, DAE for Collada and GLB for GLTF. We've pre-configured the export settings to match Linden Lab's expectations, but since the exact requirements aren't fully documented, we've included an export properties section where you can adjust all settings yourself. If you want to keep your changes, just store them. The add-on will save them automatically. Need to revert to factory defaults? There's a reset button for that too. You can get the add-on from the Atlloud Deliveries website. It's made for you, and all we ask in return is give us feedback. If you discover that the defaults need tweaking, let us know. We're happy to improve it. The download link is in the video description. Now go ahead and help Linden Lab get their GLTF importer ready. We're all waiting for it. Have a nice day.
Now,
interesting.
obviously, the video link is not in the video itself, but export to Collada and GLTF. If you search that, I mean, the video is actually called Export to Collada GLTF, the easy way. So you'll probably find it on YouTube or stuff, or if you want, we'll run it again. But it's always nice to bring a bit of technical knowledge into the show, just in case. And I know you, Tosha, use Blender quite a lot, don't you? So, although do you work with avatars, or is it mostly?
GLTF.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is I mean, basically, Linden Labs, I think, from their point of view, they're recommending you send them both so that they can do double checks, to both formats are in sync, kind of thing. I don't quite know, but it's the same process is available to any,
Why does it have to be GLTF? What makes the difference? Do you know that?
Collada is the normal standard mesh we've been using for a long while. GLTF,
Yes.
I think, is much more modern, more flexible
Okay.
mesh format. They're both meshes, but
Well, yeah.
GLTF is certainly the more the more talked about these days. Collada is like old school, but other than that, I really can't tell you. I'm not. You are more techie than me on that front.
Okay. That's cool.
I know a lot of other worlds, for example, or other platforms use GLTF too, where they also use Collada. But apparently, when you make both, they should be just as functional. But the centric there is, instead of sending it to Linden Labs, you simply you make both, and you can import, like you import your pictures into OpenSim. And then you can test the settings and see which one works best. And as she showed you, if you don't like what it does
That's
automatically,
where I saw it. I downloaded when I configured this computer newly. I downloaded the latest version of Blender, and there they mentioned also GLTF, but I had no idea what it was. So I said, "Well, leave me alone with it."
yeah, right. Well, I believe that it's probably a more modern version of Collada, which there was some differences. It may have to do with the rigging. When you've got a mesh, there's different platforms have you rig it different ways, don't they? It might be the GLTF has more flexibility, but the GLTF itself actually stands for something like I don't know, just in that graphic layer tile format or something. It's actually a mesh format of its own. So I'll try and find out that. I mean, it's interesting. I want to explore these things a bit more anyway.
Yeah, it seems exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. My ability to adopt the learning curve is a bit limited these days, but it's always worth fiddling. Right. Okay. So that's GLTF, and and the Aperture viewer, which again looks to be a thing. Being as it shares the Firestorm base code, then you can be pretty sure it's going to work with OpenSim as well as Second Life. The only difference is the OpenSim version is missing a few things that are particular, like trademark or copyrighted to Second Life. I can't remember what I found, but there's a few things in the Second Life viewer that Firestorm OpenSim viewer isn't allowed to use, but probably all old stuff
It
anyway.
sounds like an interesting thing to check out,
Yeah,
to try out.
I do. I think so. Right. Well, I'm just looking at my broadcast screen here. I think I've covered everything. There is no announcement this week as to where we're going on Wednesday because we're not.
Okay.
Oh, we want Safari back. Bring back Safari. Bring back Safari. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a long and lonely summer, isn't it? But we'll. There's plenty to do. There always is. So I'd like to try and get hold of William Weaver, by the way, maybe bring him onto the show to talk about some of that more technical stuff at some point. That might be worth getting the Benthic viewer too, and maybe even Adam Frisbee. Who knows? We've also got some ideas, especially one place to explore this week. So it does mean that without Safari, we've probably got a little bit extra time to actually dedicate to new regions and things we try and find when we can. There weren't any new ones this week because we had too many of the old ones, but there you go. So, switching screens here. I think we're about ready to close up. I can't see James.
What?
Hang on.
What?
Sorry, I'm just looking at my Inworld viewer, and my avatar seems to be somewhere very different from where I was a minute ago. How very well.
Here he is. I can see him, but I wasn't.
Right.
looking for-
Well, I went to my other screen, and instead of seeing the stage, I can see my forest. I don't know what I'm doing in my forest in camera. I should be in camera mode, and I should be sitting on the. Did I stand up at some point or something? Somebody told me I can't see myself.
Nope, you're
Oh,
sitting,
no,
you're sitting
okay.
fine. You're doing good.
Something's gone wrong with my view.
Only a little strange, I think, Mel, is that you're wearing a turban.
Ha ha.
Thank you, Tosha.
Was that good at least?
It was.
I don't
It was
know.
good.
You could understand this one at the first, huh?
Yeah. If you got me over there for a minute, maybe it's not just Forrest who's got the glitch. maybe I should go all
Maybe the glitch is yours.
go all Asian and
Maybe you're the only one that sees that big cowboy hat. Everybody else sees you with a turban.
sees the turban. Well, I worried about that for a while until I realized it was actually just Forrest and not everybody else. But there we go. Right. Well. Closing thoughts. Let's go around. James. I mean, any comments on what we've seen that you made, and any other news or whatever you want to contribute before we pull the plugs?
No, I enjoyed I'm glad I could make the last episode of Safari, and May is just a really difficult time for me. But otherwise, like I said, I really enjoyed that Dangazi, I don't know how to pronounce it, region. But what I liked about it was how open it was. And I often find things with a lot of objects in them become very claustrophobic and dense. And it was just very nice to move around that whole region. So I admired what Danger and Ozzy had built and enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
tempting to. I like to fox people, like to jam lots of stuff together, so they've got to fight to find their way and things. Because I
Yeah.
think of the adventure, but the spatial thing is
It's
what's
like
not to.
interactivity early on, especially in web design, was called mystery meat, and it's like, well, we want people to figure out how to use the site, and of course, people don't want to figure out how to use a site; they want the site to be usable to them immediately. And so I
Yeah,
do find a lot of builds just so jam packed, and it's not a pleasure to move around
yeah,
inside them.
yeah.
I think it's down. Yeah, I mean, certainly somebody who was new would find it. If they went over the bridge out of the studio, they're going to have problems.
To the photographer, which
But
way?
somebody who
Which way?
knows, yeah, somebody
To
who
the north
knows
or the
about,
east?
yeah, yeah. I mean, to yeah, somebody who knows, these environments will immediately see that, it's something you got to sort of go in and, it should sort of be claustrophobic with lots of different pathways. I like the idea that you walk through somewhere and something changes and then you come out the other end and something's completely it takes you by surprise and things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got open space, those so-called sort of secret pathways and things don't exist because everybody can see them.
Oh,
Whereas when
well,
they're buried, like there's a little park just outside this thing, but I've deliberately covered it with like a mantle of trees. It's like a canopy.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So when you're under the canopy, it's actually quite spacious. But viewing it from above the canopy, you think, what the hell's down there? Just dense, leaves and stuff. So
Hmm.
the challenge is to actually find a way to walk into it under the canopy, not try and fly into it over the canopy kind of thing. So, but it's just fiddling around in my case, it's
Yep.
been a joy to actually have some space to fiddle with since we've had a studio here, actually. So maybe I should do maybe I should do a safari where I take people around this region.
You definitely could. There's a lot here.
Uh, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. And,
Tosha can add some art for it.
and Mel, I fixed up some things in the
Yeah,
region
there's lots of,
that I found
the
that were not so nice. Uh,
yeah.
just small things.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I like about it, like the parky bit under the foliage there. It's quite
And,
spacious, but the little
and
statues and things I found to decorate it, they're
yeah,
not
well, I
they're
did
not
not.
sitting on top of
I
one
put them
another.
all upside down with the head
Yes,
in the
yes.
sand.
You just turn it
No,
into,
but I just like on one place the water looked really ugly, and then I changed that and stuff like that. But really very small things only.
there is some
And
water I've got it. There's a whole
but
bit
it's
of
the first time the other day that I walked around the region
ah,
really
properly.
here, and I looked at it all, and I thought, oh, and I took a ride on the boat,
Yes,
and
yeah, to
I
get to
might have
the
left the boat on the wrong place because it doesn't go back automatically, does it?
doesn't who cares, just the next person can swim over to the boat.
Well, anyways, it and I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. It
Yeah,
was
and
really
it's
fun,
to
and
me it's
I did
very
that with my visitors on Saturday. They'd never heard of Second Life and virtual worlds, and never had heard of OpenSim, not
yeah.
even less. And they said, "Well, what can you do there? What can you do there?" Because I was talking a lot about what I'm doing, and I said, "Well, let's go look." And then I took them in here with me, and then I went different places with them. They wanted to see what I had built, and then I also came here to show them where we make the show and everything. And I took them on a boat ride, and that was so much fun. It really was so much fun.
Yeah, this
So
is yeah. In the
we
central
really had,
puddle, as I call it.
yeah,
You got Central Park, and I got Central Puddle.
yeah. No,
But
it's
also,
really
that I want to do
you've
something that
you've
big or
you've
or it.
really done a great job. I
Yeah,
really think you've done a great job here.
yeah. Well, I just like fiddling. So now I
Chapeau.
go to the spaces underneath, but that bit with mountains and I got some sort of water and in the rocks and things that hasn't worked out at all. I want to kind of dismantle that without messing up what's around it. So,
Oh,
but
but really. done very, very nicely. And
Well,
yeah,
look out for
I
a
really
special
enjoyed the region.
safari where we will take you on the what would you call it? The Inworld review back garden. The
Yeah,
back garden.
well, I think yeah, maybe what Thirsa will name it, but that's true. We could ask Thirsa to make a safari here one of these days,
Yeah,
so that people can see what we're doing and everything.
yeah,
And you know that I've just looked because I was trying to see if I could see better on the live stream on YouTube, and I
yeah.
saw that we actually have almost 800 followers. That I think is
Oh,
pretty damn good.
yeah. I mean,
Well,
it's
you do actually.
yeah, it's yeah. And I mean, I've had that site there for years. So yeah, I
Wow.
mean,
You know,
I think if everybody who followed us has notifications turned on, we could actually
yeah.
it
And
gets
that's
out to a lot of people, but it never did sort of I mean, I follow YouTube channels and things that I don't really follow anymore. It means that I get a
uh,
notification in my subscription list, but
yeah,
I will
okay.
actually see it because I just look.
Okay, everybody does that. I don't know how many 300 friends on my friends list in craft,
Yeah,
and only about 10 of them I see,
yeah,
once in a while.
yeah,
But what I think is, anyways, I think it's a good record for us, and I think also that I've been looking and watching out a little bit that we have about, like about 30 clicks every Sunday.
yeah,
And that's also good,
yeah, yeah.
even though they're not in here live, but they look at it afterwards.
I
And I
keep
think that's
asking.
really good.
Yeah, I keep asking. Do you still check the chat, James, for the channel while we're on air?
Um, I don't think chat is enabled on the offline recording.
Yeah, right. No, I meant while we're live, you can
Oh,
see
I'm
how many
watching it.
people are
I'm
watching.
looking at the empty space right now. There's
Yeah,
one.
I
Right.
There's
do
one
that.
viewer, and that's me.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
do that.
it's
I do
very
that once in a while too. I don't do that regularly, I admit, but I thought it was really good because um, that we have so many
yeah.
clicks a week.
Maybe we
That's
want to do
also
this. Should we have this discussion off the air? Maybe.
Yes. Oh, we're just talking about ourselves, aren't we, folks? This is true. This is true. But no, I'm sure some of our listeners
well.
didn't replay.
Anyways,
Yeah,
all of
it's
all of us know that we're the greatest, so that we don't have to discuss that,
exactly.
James.
They probably wonder. Yeah, I think you're right though. We've run over our time this week. We've over 2 hours. So, but we did get a lot in actually. So
Well,
there we go.
I really, when I was in Kitely there talking with this group of people that I told you about,
Mhm.
um, I was kind of shocked. They had never heard of Inworld Review, not anything about that. And and they didn't even know about the expo that we made here, the HIE.
Hey, yeah.
I didn't know about that either. And I said, well, what the hell, where do they live, Just
It's
in
down
their
to the
little.
communications in OpenSim. It's just not. There's nowhere easily. You've got OpenSim World, admit there are these things,
Wow.
but some people use it, some people don't. There's no. Um,
Okay, that is
and
true.
the thing that's made a big difference to me is that as much as I don't like the fastball, I tend to now. It means that publicly I'm joined various grids like the craft grid and various alternative metaverse grids, whatever. I don't know, maybe a couple of dozen. And so when tomorrow when this show's edited and the thumbnails fixed, I actually post the embed on all those Facebook groups as well as the Unworld Review group,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and I actually see an awful lot of likes coming up during the week.
yeah. Keep doing that
What
because
I
I think
can't,
it's
what I
important.
can't tell is whether people are liking it because they think they should like it, or whether they're actually watching it and then
Well,
liking it. You
you
just,
can never say that.
yeah,
You can when it says there it has 30 clicks, then it can be that people click and look at it 5 minutes and say, "Oh no, that's not my. I don't.
Yeah, no, that's
That doesn't interest me." You know, so you can never know that. But I think
yeah.
it's a sign, and you have to, you know, go by
I
the
guess
little signs that you can find.
yeah, I get a report. I guess weekly, or whenever I need it, I think, which shows me the number of clicks an episode has had
Yeah.
and the number of minutes it's been viewed in total.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right. So if I've had 100 clicks and I've also had 100 minutes of viewing, I know that that's 100 people who stayed a minute. You know, so you can do a little bit of mathematics, but it's
Yeah.
not
Well,
conclusive.
no, not even that. You can see, you can have 5 people that look 100 minutes. Oh no, they cannot. Then you have 500 minutes. But you can have, you know, so and so many people that look the half of the thing, because we really have also long shows here, one must admit, you know. And some look a little bit in the front, and then they scroll through and they look a little
Yeah.
bit later, that it makes it shorter, but they go from interest to interest. For example,
I
I could imagine that let's say, just because I remember now, that the Dinkies, they watched the show, the stream, and then they, of course, they scroll until they come to the parts where they are
yeah.
subject, you know.
And actually,
And
when I get this stuff coming in my feeds, you
mm,
know, I go one just to see the title, not bothered. It's next. Oh, I'll play that for a bit, and if it's interesting, I'll skip forward a bit. I
yeah,
very rarely pick up something I
yeah,
watch all the way through, and except maybe
yeah,
one that I'm going to feature on here. So,
yeah.
but,
You know, my watching habits have gone so bad that even when I watch a movie sometimes, you know, it's like, "Ah, I don't want them, you know, to have a bad scene for the seventh time in one movie, and then I go scrolling until they get out of bed again." You know?
yeah,
So,
that's the great
and
thing
that
about movies.
shortens the
You just
movies.
load them and scroll them, you know. No, forget the
Uh,
attention span. It needs to be a pretty good movie to stop me skipping forward.
and and I do that sometimes, you know, so, or in documentations.
Anyway, James made a point that can't we do this offline? I would say, since those of you who are still with us, hearing us chat like this is all stuff we're interested to hear. If you just are picking up this to listen to it in the week, and you've even stayed the course and are hearing us talking now, I mean, do send feedback. You can send comments in YouTube, or you can email at MetaWorldNews at Proton IO, no, Proton Me. Yeah, actually, I'll give you that again. MetaWorld News, all one word, at symbol, and then Proton, PROTON .me, and that's a dedicated um, email address for
Okay.
broadcast shows and stuff. Yeah, you know, it's just an easy one to give out. Um, but yeah, more feedback the merrier, actually. You know, sort of like any media, we don't just stand alone. You know, we to a certain extent we do it for ourselves because we know what we want. But I mean, the whole idea is to share it, and hopefully you know, get feedback on what you like about what we're sharing and what you don't. Yep, you can
Yep.
criticize too. Right, I'm going to close this show because there's going to be a temptation for us to chat on air for hours, I think. Yeah, nothing else from you, James. Nothing else
Nope.
from you, Tosha, for now. So yeah, I wish you. We'll be out next week, so hopefully no more illnesses or crashes or whatever. For now, I wish you all a very good morning, a very good afternoon, a very good evening, and a good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. My thanks again to Tosha and James, and it's a wrap.
Oh, it's been a